Hey Gym Rats, I hope everyone's doing well today. I decided that I wanted to produce a different kind of video for you all, maybe a bit of an introduction into sort of who I am and my past trajectory as an athlete. So this video that you're going to see is a little bit different. It's mainly me talking with some pictures interspersed, but not a whole lot of training. So my name is Laurie. I'm 32 years old. When I'm not lifting weights in the gym for my full-time job, I'm in fundraising for a nonprofit. And I'm a graduate of the Harvard College. Growing up, I was a dancer. And there are 7 days in a week. Well, I managed to find a way to dance 8 times in those 7 days. It was pretty much life. And I self-selected out of anything else that might be seen even as remotely athletic, whether it be an individual or a team sport. In fact, I can remember in 7th grade being new to school and making a new friend, and she had asked me, hey, why don't we try out for the crew team together? And I can remember just dismissing her idea right away as if it were crazy talk that I would be in the same space as other athletes. I really didn't even think about the concept of joining her. And I think that really is because I was so insecure in my body and its physical appearance that I couldn't begin to make the connection that I might have the ability to do something athletic or to even think about doing something that wasn't in my comfort zone of dance. This is interesting because while I was really good at dance, I never looked the part of a dancer. You know, I was overweight. I started developing before some of the other girls, so I didn't look the part, and I stood out for the wrong reasons. Yet somehow I kind of kept myself in this loop. And, you know, I can remember thinking, I don't fit in, I don't look like the others. I know there were times where I was made fun of by some of the other girls. You know, not everybody, but it definitely happened. And I remember, you know, feeling this way, yet still sticking with dance. The point is I was hyper-focused on how I looked and my appearance, and that takes up so much energy. I mean, if you think about it, with dance, there's a lot of different costumes. I remember that time of year being really hard. I competed, so there were other elements to that besides just the dances. It required a whole bunch of different outfits, and it was like a nightmare to go shopping. I apologized to my mother. Hopefully I've apologized to her before, but all those trips that she took me on, a lot of them would end in tears in the dressing room, and that's no fun. I kept putting myself in these positions. You know, I know my parents did not force me to stay at dance. There's no way that would happen. But I think it's because at the end of the day, I really did enjoy performing when I could figure out a way to sort of close out some of those negative thoughts and focus more on what I was doing rather than how I looked. And, you know, I did gain some positive experience. So, you know, the whole thing wasn't a wash, but it certainly definitely created some issues for me around my body image. And I think those thoughts, since they were so consuming, spilled out into other areas of my life and negatively affected it. I mean, I never had a boyfriend or dated anyone until after college. I didn't have a date to senior prom. And in general, I held myself back in a lot of areas. I think it really comes down to the insecurities and the amount of energy they took up. If you're so focused on, you know, some of these negative things, it's hard for you to find ways to kind of push outside of that. Life wasn't miserable or anything. I always had a solid friend group. I had a great relationship with my family, still do. I was really good at school, work, those kinds of things. So, you know, it was okay, but there was always this sort of shadow in the background. When I got to college, I had stopped dancing competitively, but I was definitely overweight and unhealthy, and I can remember being uncomfortable in my own skin. So while at college I had a lot of fun experiences and I met some great people, I think the insecurities from high school carried over and affected my ability to fully enjoy the college experience and really get the most out of everything that Harvard had to offer. So finally, I guess fast forward to senior year of college, and I think that was the first time I finally made an effort to get into any kind of shape. Abby, if you're watching this, from college, my college roommate Abby, thank you. We planned a cruise for spring break, and when we made this effort together to kind of get more in shape for that. So we were going to the gym. We started the Couch to 5K plan from Cool Runnings. I know a lot of people are very familiar with that plan. But for whatever reason, this time it stuck for me. I actually made it a goal to run my first 5K the summer after graduating, and I did. I ran that with my dad. So that sort of parlayed me into a bit of a running career. I had lost some weight. I worked my way up to running 3 full marathons, 2 of which were Boston as a charity runner. Those are all moments that I'm very, very proud of. Those were fun years in my life. But then at some point, you know, I did think I'm a more confident person. I'm definitely more fit and healthy than I was a few years ago, but that nagging, you know, are you happy with how you look? And the answer was still no. So I had hired a personal trainer, Wicked Fit. If you guys are watching this, you were one of my first forays into lifting weights. And around that same time, I actually met Joe, and he showed me even more about lifting, created my very first beginner plan that was a little bit more like a bodybuilding style workouts with traditional body part splits. As you can expect, I started to see some more changes in my physical appearance. Essentially what was happening is I was coming out of that shell that I had been hiding in, and I was emerging as just a more confident, adventurous individual, not afraid to speak up for herself. For years, you know, everyone was like, oh, Laurie, she's so nice, she never gets mad. I mean, that's great and all, but at the end of the day, if everyone's saying you're so nice because they're able to walk all over you, that's a problem. So essentially what happened is, as I discovered strength training, I had more space to be rather than to hide from something. When I started getting really into the strength training, you know, I mentioned that I was hooked. I really enjoyed it. I started to really play around with things and focus more on that goal of training for aesthetics. And as you can see from the pictures, I had made a lot of progress. I looked like a different person. I developed muscle, I lost a ton of weight. I think at my lightest point I got down to 127 pounds. It was a combination of, you know, more intense workouts and really structured. People were telling me all the time how great I looked. It was really nice feedback. People, especially from my past, who had known me growing up and in high school in those dance years, they were especially amazed. And I definitely fed off of that positive feedback. And you know, I kept returning to this style of training several times over the years, but even though I would return to it and I would see success, I can't say that it lit any type of fire in me. You can probably see that because of sort of my back and forth with it. And I think it's because it didn't fully energize me the way that powerlifting does. I think Joe and I realized at some point during all of this, as I was kind of transforming on the inside, that I have a bit of natural strength or some natural ability in this area. I was enjoying the idea of starting to train more for strength and performance over aesthetics. I wanted to focus more on what my body could do rather than what it looked like. I was happy with how I looked, but that wasn't what I wanted my focus to be anymore. And as I mentioned earlier, I was hyper-focused on that for so many years in my life. I think I was embracing this new way of thinking about the purpose of training. It wasn't until early 2018 when Joe's sister, Nebby, signed up for her first powerlifting meet. I was in Connecticut at Gleason Performance Center. We went down there to cheer her on. We had worked out together in the past. We like to talk about lifting, so it was only natural that we would go and support her. I would never miss it. And just that day when I was in that environment of a competition, that it wasn't until then, when Nebby had the courage to do it, that I looked around and said, maybe I could do this too. This seems scary, but not so scary. So later that day, or maybe the following day, Joe and I put our heads together and we decided to make a plan for my first competition just about a month after that. So in about a month, we got me ready for the competition on April 8th. It's not like I hadn't been training similar to a powerlifter prior to this, but we really decided, like, okay, this is a goal, let's make it happen. And I ended up winning my weight class that day, came in first place in the 72 kilogram lifter class, weighing in at 64 kilograms that morning. And I think I tied for 4th overall based on Wilks scores. But most importantly, I had an amazing time that day. There's a video that recaps my very first meet that's up on the YouTube channel, so you can kind of check that out if you're curious. But it was such an empowering experience to be around other strong women who enjoy the sport the same way that I do. And just to get up there on the platform and do the best I can in front of an audience. I did not care that I was in that spandex singlet with my belt cinching me around the middle. I know that it's not a cute look, but it didn't bother me. I wasn't hyper focused on it because, you know what, I was moving some heavy ass weight and that's what I was focused on, and that was so cool. So as I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm about a month out from my next powerlifting meet, and I have a really good shot at getting a qualifying total as a 63 kilogram lifter. But who would have thought, you know, the girl who thought she would melt at the idea of joining a crew team could stand up in front of people and compete in a powerlifting competition. The more I focus on what I can do and being part of this positive community of strength athletes, the more everything else around me in my life just feels right. My mental toughness is the highest it's ever been. In addition to people saying like, oh, Laurie, she's so nice, they would also say like, she's super sensitive. And I can still be a sensitive person and be empathetic to other people, but I feel like I'm tougher personally, can respond better to situations, pressure. I don't take things as personally as I used to. And I definitely don't hyper-focus on my appearance. And it's so liberating, and it's freed up so much of my energy. And I just want to use that energy now to try and make a difference if I can for others. So I guess that's the other part of the reason why this video, if there are other people out there who can sort of relate to my message and what I've been through, and if this video helps inspire anyone else to consider picking up a barbell and putting it in their hands, that would absolutely make my day. Because I think while it's not for everyone, there gotta be other people out there like me who will become empowered and a better version of themselves by giving it a shot. So I'm ready to show the world, or at least all of you watching my YouTube channel, more of what I can do as a strength athlete. I really appreciate you listening. If you can relate to my story, feel free to let me know in the comments, or if you want some clarification on anything I've said, let me know that too. If you like the style of video and you want to see more of me talking about my life and experiences, let me know. I'm not sure yet how many of these types of videos I'll do, so if you have some input, please share it. And if you really related to what you saw today, or if you really spoke to you, please consider subscribing to my channel, because that would also make